let's talk about Battlefield 1. Alright, Battlefield 1, I had the chance to play this game for 20 minutes, a full 20 minutes at E3 2016. Now currently there is actually an ongoing closed alpha that I wasn't invited to, unfortunately. So really I can only talk about my experience from a few weeks ago. Alright, but Battlefield 1 was the first game I ever played at E3 2016. Alright, it was the first one I went to, and I have to say that I was pretty much I was a little bit skeptical, being that it is, you know, World War I. I was excited for a different timeline, right? But I was a bit skeptical because I didn't know how it would necessarily work. And when I got my hands on the game, I just have to say that this is still the same great, amazing Battlefield experience that we all know and love that DICE brings, alright? So we got to play a Conquest map, and pretty much the gameplay that you guys saw at E3 2016, we got to play on the same map and pretty much the same game mode, Conquest, right? And the maps are pretty well designed. You know, we had a lot of like open sort of field areas, and then we had like a very urban area, and so it was like a mix of close quarters combat with like far ranged combat as well, and it worked out very well. The graphics are the first thing I want to talk about just right away. I mean, this is probably one of the most beautiful games I've ever seen in my life. Now, I was running this, I believe the setup was a 1440p 144 Hz FreeSync monitor combined with a NVIDIA or an AMD Fury X, I believe. That was the setup, all right? With 16 gigabytes of RAM and an Intel Core processor. I believe that was it. This game ran beautifully, for one. I was running it on a completely ultra settings. It ran beautifully. It was smooth as hell. It was responsive, and the frame rate was amazing. And it was just a really great experience. The amount of work that went into the textures and the fact that there's a dynamic weather system involved with this gameplay makes it one of the most incredible war experiences that I've ever played in the video game. When I'm playing multiplayer here and all of a sudden it starts raining, right? And you can see the raindrops fall on your character's jacket and start to get wet and make, you know, wet patches on the character's jacket. You can see the individual drops hit the gun, and as it just drips down as you're running across, and it's all handled by an incredible physics system. It's absolutely incredible. Like, the YouTube videos just don't do it justice. Even though you're watching this on YouTube and you're like, oh, it looks pretty good from what I'm seeing, when you're actually seeing this uncompressed live in native resolution, it's just absolutely a sight to behold. The amount of effects that are in place, the amount of just detail that has been put into the world here, and it just looks. There's no other word besides incredible, spectacular, amazing that I could practically use to describe these visuals. Obviously, we sort of know that because this is DICE, and every single year DICE really delivers on making a very compelling experience from a technological standpoint. All right, so how did it play? It was a very responsive Battlefield experience, and that was just really kind of what concerned me, is going into this World War, is it going to change the way that Battlefield feels? And really, to be honest, no. At the core, it's still Battlefield. It's a more refined Battlefield than what we're used to. Now, we don't have a lot of you know, high-tech weapons that we did in the Battlefield 4 in 3 days, right? Since we're going back to the Great War here. But the weapons that we do have at our disposal are, they have this sense of punch and kick to them that I think is missing from a lot of shooters these days. And even more so in Battlefield 4. The weapons kick back with this sense of recoil that's just, I mean, it almost feels like you're firing off this gun. It feels like you're actually doing something when you pull the trigger there. Pistols have so much more recoil than they did in the original, or I should say, than in Battlefield 4. And where in Battlefield 4 you can sort of rapid fire things, pistols in this game have a great degree of recoil, and so when you're shooting at them, you can't really sit there and just, you know, rapidly tap your mouse button in order to fire the gun as many times as you can and still hit your target. This, you pretty much have to really kind of train your shots where, you know, fire it in short bursts, make sure you get an accurate shot, because if you just sit there and hold down the trigger, even with a mouse cursor, your gun kicks left to right, and it's really hard to get a beat on who you want to who you want to shoot. And that it's really apparent when you're going for pistols. I was trying to shoot someone sort of medium range with a pistol, and I almost couldn't hit him because the pistol would just, like, you know, fire back so much, and would go left to right and left to right every single time I would fire, and I'd have to sort of slow down, shoot one at a time, maybe count to 2, shoot one at a time, and it was pretty much almost a different training, a different type of me you know, sort of playing that I sort of had to you know, put myself in a different type of mindset when I was playing this game, because I was like, okay, I couldn't just go in there like this was Battlefield 4 with a full automatic assault rifle like an F2000 and just, you know, aim down and shoot the gun and just hope to get a kill, and then, oh, I get the kill, and there's, like, you know, very little recoil in the gun. The guns do kick back a lot more in this game, and because of that, they feel like they have a greater impact, like they actually feel a little bit more tangible. All right. The dynamic events are absolutely fantastic as well. We had the Zeppelin come up, and you shoot down the Zeppelin. You're looking at the Zeppelin, and when you're seeing at the end of everything, when the Zeppelin becomes pretty much a fireball and it's coming down on the battlefield, you're seeing this thing come down, and it's almost like you think you're playing a single player experience, you know. It's amazing, because when we all saw that first gameplay, you know, Battlefield 4, when they had the building come down, you see the whole building crash down into the water. It's pretty much that same feeling, just in a much more beautiful scale, because it's much more beautiful in terms of the graphics and everything like that. The Zeppelin coming down the battlefield, and the fact that it could land anywhere, really makes it still a dangerous threat. Even though when you take down, you know, the Zeppelin and it's coming down, it's still very much a threat when it's coming down, because it could land on you, and that could be an instant death. And when it does land, it could change the scope of how the battlefield is played. You can go up to it, and it's just a wreckage, and it's a carcass, and you sort of have these different hiding spots that you could, you know, you can go in different ways to sort of go in there and have these intense firefights and whatnot. Really, the one word I can use to describe Battlefield 1 is Battlefield 4, much grittier, a little bit faster, violent, much more violence, and a lot more brutal, and just the way it feels is a lot more impactful. It still feels like a great Battlefield game should be, but it almost feels brand new because of the brutality. The brutality in the combat system, the way the guns feel, the fact that you can go up to someone with a shovel or with an axe and there's actual melee attacks and animations. It's the fact that when you go into a tank, your character actually climbs into a tank and starts to drive it and everything like that. It's so brutal, it's so violent, and it's so much fun to play. I, for one, cannot wait. I cannot wait for this game to come out. It's just going to be fantastic. It's going to be amazing, and I'm hoping for a great single-player experience as well. This game is going to be one hell of a multiplayer shooter. And I have no doubt that it's probably going to be the best one this year. It's from what I played, it lives up to the hype, and I have nothing but excitement for the upcoming Battlefield game. So it's going to be freaking awesome. All right. Anyway, hope that sort of answered a few of your guys' questions regarding Battlefield 1. I know I pretty much talked about my feelings on the game, but there isn't really much to say because this is Battlefield at its core. And if you played Battlefield 4, not to say that it's the same experience, but it still feels the same great way. And maybe that's what you guys are wondering, is it going to feel any different? And the answer is really no. It doesn't feel very different. It feels more refined, but it's much more brutal. It's much more, the guns feel much more impactful. And so in a sense, it just feels like Battlefield 4 with much more violence, a much more interesting location, and much more refinement into the gunplay and whatnot. So let me know if you guys have any more questions, and I'll let you guys know if I can answer them or what I think. And I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Thank you.